Good morning all. Today my topic is given by Dr. Seema Alam, hepatitis B and pregnancy, virological and immunological characteristics. So I will go with the index. I will cover viral hepatitis and risk in pregnancy, which is only very little, viral markers and MTCT of HBV, immune responses, vaccination and immunity, immune factors affecting the vaccine success and failure. So I know that most of the scientific community has used all these bubbles, where include the DNA, placental infection, immunity, trained immunity, and few bubbles I have kept it empty, if you see. So these bubbles we need to fill at ILBS and in India especially. So my first slide shows that viral hepatitis in pregnancy. We know that the viruses are the A, B, C, D and E, which affect mainly, and in the HIV, if you see, there is no vertical transmission. Still there are the gestational complications, premature birth, and these are risk with the, if you get the HIV during the early weeks of the trimesters, then you have the more complication in the gestational. Then in HBV, there is a vertical transmission. We all know that due to the S and the E antigen, there is also high risk of the preterm birth, low weight birth, and also the chronicity. 20% of the infants get the chronic. In hepatitis C, many people think that the vertical transmission is not there. It is there. Mother to child vertical transmission is the main reason for the pediatric HCV occurrence. However, it is the vertical transmission is very low. In HDV, there is vertical transmission is there but very rare, and it added into the superinfection to HPV, then it becomes the more, but there is a placental abruption, preterm birth, and gestational hypertension. In HIV, 23 to 50% vertical transmission is there. Vertical transmission is there, and there is a intrauterine fetal death, more with the HIV. So this covers. Okay, thank you. So I will cover mainly HBV infection. We all know that the HBV infection is risk of chronic infection is age dependent. In infants, there is high risk, 80 to 90% goes with the infant infected and they become chronic. In the child at the age 1 to 5, there is 30 to 50%. And in the adults, we know that the 5% are only chronic HBV infection. There is genotype relation with the vertical transmission or chronicity during pregnancy. There is no specific genotype is associated. However, one study showed that genotype C in Japan during the vertical transmission and the chronic hepatitis B. Mainly infants which gets from the mother to baby, and they have the 80 to 90% chronic infections. So roots of HBV infection, prenatal, although we believe that intrauterine is more, but globally it is only 3 to 8%. At birth, 35% approximately, and postnatal, due to the, depending on the age of infection and the country of origin, there is many variations. So postpartum also there are the infections. So I will mainly cover again the prenatal intrauterine infections. So I will go one by one from that bubble. First is my HBV viral load. So in the many studies people have shown, but I have taken only the two major studies where people have used lot pregnant females, like in one is the Australian study and Chinese study, and why I have taken I will tell you. These two studies shows that if the viral load is more than 7 log, then there is a vertical transmission from the mother to the baby, and newborns, they get the vaccine with the appropriate immunoprophylaxis with the vaccine and the bit, still there are 7 to 9% failure of the vaccine. And newborns get the chronic HPV infection. So these two studies support, and other many studies are there, but these are with the immune prophylaxis, still you get the 7 to 9% the chronicity. Another my molecule is the HBe antigen, where the positive mothers, if are with the HBe antigen, neonates get the 70 to 90% chronic carriers, and if the negative, 10 to 40%. Now this concept was proven in 1990, very old, that what they did, this group have cloned the pre-core and the plus core. They have injected this pre-core and the clone in the fertilized one cell ova, and then they have seen the progeny. What they saw, that these progenies have the immune tolerant phase. So there is no immune response. So this mutations cause even the immune tolerance. There is if the mutation also. After 1990, 2016, in immunity group has published that how E antigen is give the chronicity and the immune tolerance. What they did, again they took the HBV genomic DNA. They have used the mice model, exposed with the maternal E antigen, and then they have seen that Kupffer cells. Kupffer cells have the more of the PD-L1 expression in the liver of the mice, which cause the chronicity and the HBV persistence. When they have used the same HBV genomic DNA with the E antigen, but they have used the PD-L1 blocker also, and then they saw that the Kupffer cells, they were able to clear the HBV, and the mice was HBV clearance. So from 1990 till 2016, I must say that till 2020, we are struggling that E antigen positive mothers have the chronicity, and the still mechanisms. There is only one study which shows a Kupffer cells. Further, I will tell you the more. Now the HBs antigen. Till now, quant HBs antigen is being done only in the adult male HBV infection. Vertical transmission, many people have not done. But 2020 November, hepatology studies shows quantitative maternal hepatitis B surface antigen predicts maternally transmitted hepatitis B virus infection. What they did, they correlated the log 10 IU per ml, this is 6.5 log 10 IU for S antigen, and more than 7 log for the HBV DNA. They've shown that they are strongly correlated, and their specificity was 100%, and the sensitivity was, sensitivity was 100%. Excuse me. And specificity was the 70%. And the same have estimated that when you have the more than even 6 log, there is a higher percentage of children which become the HBs antigen. So in the vertical transmission, S antigen is very important. Now they have given that management strategy. This is a clinical study which they have included. Now the HBV DNA based strategy was earlier applied, but now they said that quantitative HBs antigen based strategies are there. So more than 4 to 4.5 log and more than 6 to 7 log of DNA, which contributes to the vertical transmission. So for the management, we both need to conquer. Now another very good alternative marker is the HBV RNA. In many of the pregnant women, we find that there is not HBV DNA detectable. Even from many years we are working. So many pregnant women are undetectable, less than 6 IU per ml. So this study has shown, this is not in vertical transmission, however I am coming, that circulating HBV RNA is becoming the useful biomarker, and its strong correlation with the HBV RNA and intrahepatic cccDNA levels is showed in this study. This is again Hepatology 2020 November. So this have shown the correlation between the different viral biomarkers. They have used the HBV RNA here, HBV DNA, HBCR antigen, and the quant HBS antigen. They have shown that at the time when there was no treatment, that time also there is significantly correlated. After 40 weeks of the NA therapy, it was significantly correlated. However, after the week of 96, there was no correlation between the HBV DNA and HBV RNA. However, if you see, there is still correlation between the CR antigen and quant HBS antigen. Now this is a small study and published only in the conference, but this group have shown, they have taken that HBV RNA as a vertical transmission. Although this group have shown that there was not much association in vertical transmission with the HBV DNA, but they have not done other biomarkers like the pregenomic RNA, quant HBV core antigen. So they said that if you do these two markers along with HBV RNA, then maybe you will find a strong correlation in the vertical transmission. So what are the mechanism of HBV transmission? I already told you that prenatal is only 3 to 8%. However, whole globe says that this 3 to 8% is the most strong. Why? Because despite immunoprophylaxis with the vaccine and HBIC, still there is a chronicity. And they said, how it happens? Placental infection. So I have just covered all these references which they have given. So in the 2002, what they did, that they have found that S antigen is there in the placenta. In 2015, this group is very, very intelligently worked. This is a Australian group again. What they gave, during the pregnancy, they gave the HBIC to the pregnant women. And then they have found that HBIC is still there in the placenta and restricting the cross of HBS antigen to the baby. So it is showing that the infection was there and even HBIC stays. I have not taken the IHC slides because I thought that it will be too much. Then there was we have published in 2018 that there is increased ASGPR. They have covered this 38 reference, which is Ashish have done, that ASGPR, which is the marker for the entry, HBV entry, was too much in the HBV placenta. And then so on, they have used the paracellular routes from maternal blood to fetal capillary through placental leakage and transmission through HBV with maternal PBMCs even. So I will cover our study little bit, that which we have done it. In this, he used that the mothers who have given the S antigen to the babies, which we called as transmitting mothers here, and the non-transmitting mother. So many mothers didn't transmit, and the ASGPR expression. If you can see, the transmitting mother were having the more of the ASGPR expression, and it was even IHC score, it was high, and the log fold change was high. This was not only in the placenta. I have not again covered one slide. We have used the placental disease, we have used the placental macrophages, which shows the higher ASGPR expression in the placenta and carrying the antibodies. According to that, we have made the correlations. So HBS antigen in the mother in circulation, it was more towards the transmitting. Percentage of ASGPR on the myeloid disease in circulation was correlating well with the higher sensitivity and specificity, and the plasmacytoid disease who were carrying the ASGPR. So ROC table shows, along with the HBS antigen quant in our studies, ASGPR expression in the placenta, whether it is a myeloid disease or the plasmacytoid disease, were highly contributing to the vertical transmission. So we proposed this, that the transmission through ASGPR expressing trophoblast ASGPR expressing placental disease and circulating ASGPR expressing disease. And if there are no transmitting mother because the expression was low. This was published in ILBS. Now another very beautiful molecule, HBX. Nobody thought that the HBX will contribute to the vertical transmission, but there is one study in Oncology Reports 2016. What they found that hepatitis B virus, although this is only placental cell lines, but they have proposed this molecule contributes. How? Hepatitis B virus X protein, everybody knows that work for the cancer, proliferation and apoptosis. They showed that HBX protein modify invasion, proliferation and inflammatory response in the placenta. And they have given that they even contribute into the vimentin and encadrin through and use for the invasion. So HBX, different even total fragment and the small fragments of HBX activated the SMAD signaling, down-regulation of E-cadherin, up-regulation of vimentin and encadrin, reduced apoptosis. The best is that invasion. HBV, how invased and go to the through the placenta. Now if we cover MTCT and immune responses. Again, I am coming on the very small data from the ILBS, where we have proposed this study design. We screened, till now we have screened more than 80,000 because of Dr. Sareen and Dr. Sharda Patra. They are working to recruit more and more of the pregnant females. Until now we have done more than 80,000. So we, till that time, it is 2019, we published that the 18,461 we screened. We took the 297 HBS pregnant females and rest was the negative. Those we have followed till delivery. We found that the 22 out of 125 were the delivered with the HBS newborns and the rest we took the negative. Again, we told that the transmitting mothers we took for 22 only for the immune studies because these were the 22 and the parallelly we covered 28 and healthy mothers. What we found? So again we have found the S antigen quant, you can see, was significantly different in the transmitting and non-transmitting. It was 24.44 and log, I think 10 to raise power only 4, but here is the 4.12 in the log, this one. And we have seen, this is again the in hepatology communication. We have seen CD4 cell, we have seen CD8. Functional cells in the hepatitis B positive newborns, I will cover here. Healthy mothers, non-transmitting mothers, transmitting. Here, healthy newborns born to the healthy mothers, HBV negative newborns, which were HBS antigen negative, and HBV positive newborns. We showed that for CD4 and CD8 T cells, if you see that the HBV positive newborns, they have interferon gamma reduced, IL-17 reduced, whether it is CD4 T cells, CD8. And don't forget, we have stimulated with the HBS polypeptides and HBC polypeptides. Very beginning, during the early years of our MTCT work, the Shikha Srivastava along with Dr. Sareen have published that there are the increased regulatory T cells in the transmitting mothers and the babies also have the regulatory T cells high. Other than this, she also found that the CD8 T cells and the CD4 T cells, especially CD8, I must say, that their TCR, T cell receptor zeta chain was defective in the transmitting mothers as well as the HBS antigen positive babies. So this you see that these are the CD3, CD8 positives, zeta chain positive T cells, and this is the interferon gamma producing CD8 T cells. So these are the three healthy controls. HBS antigen triangle is the HBS antigen positive and HBS antigen. If you see this triangle, neither they have that zeta chain and neither they have the interferon producing CD8 T cells. And if you go to the square, which is healthy control, zeta chain defects are less, but HBS antigen negative were also having the zeta chain defect. So we also found in this hepatology communication paper that there was the defective innate immunity in the mothers as well as in the newborns. I won't go very detailed, but I would say the MDC, PDCs were defective in the newborns. So what we said that the babies only mimic the mother immunity. Same here. So with this, we have found that there is a cutoff of the B cells, plasma B cells. If less than those cutoff the babies having, they are becoming the HBs antigen positive. Same with the early B cells, because early B cell differentiation was defective in the S antigen positive babies, and early B cells were quite high in the HBs antigen baby. So we have given that HBs antigen log and percentage of immature B cells, their R ratio was quite high and specificity, percentage of plasma B cells, and this was also correlating with the higher HBs antigen positivity in the mothers. So HBs antigen correlated well with the differentiation of B cells. What we said, so immune factors. What immune factors? They blame that HB will persist in the newborns. Viral, S antigen, this is our study, and the others also, HBV DNA, E antigen positivity, immune, low IL-21 cells levels, low number of DCs and plasma B cells and TFH, higher number of immature B cells, defective HBV specific immune responses. Similarly, we did the all immune data correlated with the RNA work, genetic, and we found these are the factors which are giving the HBV persistence. So newborns showed imprint of their mothers. What is the, naturally you will all know that vertical transmission is only conquered by the vaccination, and there is a one study where we all know that HPV vaccination is a 0-1-6, or in India now 0, 10 6 week, 10 week and the 14 week. However, there is still anti-HBs titer is not available in many. So what this study is showing, in 2018, they have proposed that the E antigen positive mothers, their babies dose should be from 10 microgram to the 20 microgram to improve the vaccine immunogenicity. Other studies showed that what is the long-term efficacy of postnatal active HPV vaccination. This study is showing in Hepatology 2013, they have only covered till 15 years. It's a Taiwan study, and they have showed that in till 15 years, they have seen that the babies got the vaccine, and after 15 years, 16% of those newborns didn't have anti-HBs titers. So study, however, this study did not assess the B and T cell dysfunction, which we try to do at ILPS. So they have also found that vaccinated, healthy babies vaccinated, but uninfected children born to HBs antigen positive, they have low IL-2 and vaccine failure. So this study shows that the 163 HBV mothers with anti-HBs positive, they were anti-HBs positive, more than 10 IU, their babies, 23% babies developed no anti-HBs titers. Despite negative anti-HBs titer, however, after 10 years, they have the HBV specific T cell responses. Now the question is, they don't have anti-HBs titer, but they have the HBV specific T cell responses. So mechanisms are not very straightforward that you got the vaccine, you have the active B and T cell, and then anti-HBs is there. So in hepatitis B vaccine response, again from our group, we used the 22 positive and 28 negative. We followed 1, 6, 10, 14 and sample collected after a month. What we found? All 22 HBs antigen positive mothers were same as the HBs antigen negative after the last dose of vaccine, except if you can see 2 dots I have given here, the red color. These 2 babies didn't make anti-HBs. So this we followed till 18 months and yet to follow more. So followed, and they have not made any anti-HBs despite the booster vaccination. So we have shown that after the vaccination, there was no difference between the negative or the positive babies except these 2. So there was vaccine failure in our study also. And differentiation of B cell was also same. There was no significant difference. Red dots are only who did not make anti-HBs, and these are the 2 babies. So despite the vaccine failure here or in other studies, what the people are saying that there is the occult HBV infection also, because earlier I showed you that in one of the study, anti-HBs titer positive mothers gave the birth to the babies, and after vaccination they didn't make any kind of the anti-HBs. So could be the occult HBV infection. What happened in this, they have taken the 158 neonates to HBV positive mothers. They have given the vaccine and 20.3% with the OBI at the 7th month. And there was anti-HBC positive till 24 months. These babies were never made anti-HBs titer, 20.3%. And even from our studies, Chandana Pandey has showed in 2013 and Jug et al. In Hepatology International again in 2020 that 20 to 40% babies who do not make anti-HBs are having the occult HBV infection. So my other parameter was, does mothers or females who their partners are HBs antigen positive, or they are anti-HBC positive but anti-HBs titer is less than 10 IU, do they get the vaccination? Do they want vaccination? Or I don't know about this thing that clinician knows, but I'm thinking about the immune perspective, and I have given here the one beautiful example. Now the pathogen agnostic protection is coming with neonatal vaccination. What is that? This is here. That we found that at birth, when you give the vaccine, there is a still lag period when they will make anti-HBs titer. But if these mothers who are S antigen positive sexual partner or anti-HBC positive and anti-HBs titer less than 10, can we give vaccination? People have given in other diseases vaccination, because to given the mother vaccination at the end, their maternal boosting to the babies, and its birth, at the birth, it's getting the baby's vaccination will probably limit the vertical transferred immunity, or strongly deliver the vertical transferred immunity and limit the vertical transmission. So according to this, even this is approved by the ACOG and the CDC. So there is I have covered that there is some defect in the vaccine failure, how we can give the vaccine, and what are the cause for the vaccine failure or success, and how vaccine protection lasts for years and not restricted to the neonatal life. How come? So what are the mechanisms for the vaccine failure or the success? Everybody have heard just now the trained immunity. What is trained immunity? Classically, what we have, whether we have infection or vaccine, there is a clonal expansion of B and the T cells. In the end, we get the specific antibody formation or the specific TCR clone CD4 and the CD8 cells. But now people have seen that there is not the only adaptive immunity. There is an innate immunity which have the longer years even than the adaptive immunity. We all think that adaptive immunity rendered by the B and T cells are giving the 10 to 15 years. No, now it is an innate immunity which is given by the vaccine or the infection is covering the whole. So vaccination protection from reinfection has been shown to occur independent of B and T cells. So how it happens? So I believe that mechanism of pathogen agnostic protection is also due to these two reasons. Cross-reactive T cells, everybody is talking about heterologous immunity of BCG vaccine and COVID. Why not there? Activation of innate immune components, which is the trained immunity. So what is trained immunity? It covers the myeloid, natural killer cells and innate lymphoid cells. What happened during the first infection, the NK and the macrophages, if they have PRR less, NK have the expression less, but in second booster or in the second infection, this has an enhanced effector functions. How it happens? Epigenetic reprogramming of these innate immune cells. This is called trained immunity. So trained immunity is only epigenetic reprogramming of these cells. And finally, trained immunity, you can say it lasts not for week, not for month, for years together. So what is the epigenetic reprogramming? Just touching here little bit. It is a histone modification. It is a DNA methylation. It is a modulation of microRNA and long encoding RNA expression. This all results into either tolerance programs here or the training program. So where it is coming from? It is coming from trained immunity of the innate immune cells. So in our, till now we are thinking positive, negative mother giving the either positive babies or the negative. Till now, it was thought till 2015 that there is a babies are immature, their immunity is immature, so they get the immune tolerance and HBV persistence. No. Why? Because they are getting other vaccinations also and they are giving the response to those vaccinations. So baby's immune system is not immature. And it is conquered that in 2015 by a very beautiful group, Bertolotti et al. In Nature Communication, where they have proposed that trained immunity in newborn infants of HPV infected mothers, born to infected mothers. What they did, I have taken this Nature Communication paper in one slide, so pardon me. This is an infected mother. They say in uterus, baby is getting the trained immunity, resultant innate immune cell maturation, Th1 development, enhances the cord blood cell bacterial infection in vitro. They did it. Only and only, I will say, drawback of this study was they taken the cord blood cells. They have not taken the peripheral blood of the babies. So which we generally prefer to do it here. And this all trained immunity was associated with low IL-10, high IL-12 P40, high interferon alpha 2. So HBV exposure in utero enhances cord blood because they have used only cord blood. So CD14 monocyte maturation and activation with the Th1 polarized response in the cord blood. So this is called trained immunity, not the adaptive immunity by B and T cell. It's a trained immunity by monocytes and macrophages in utero. So there was another beautiful example. I have only taken one slide for HCV. Now in HCV, what they did, they have also published in, I think, Immunity or somewhere. We all know that mother to child is very low vertical transmission, but still they have taken HCV positive mother. Newborn is exposed as with the trained immunity, but that newborn is uninfected because many children are not HCV positive, same with the HBs negative. So these uninfected newborns, what they showed, anti-HCV IgG was high, even clear detectable anti-HCV IgG levels, and induced early maturation and activation of B cells. Now here what they are proposing, they are saying anti-HCV negative newborns, they are struggling to get away from HCV RNA, and that's the reason they are uninfected, and this trained immunity in utero are making them to get away from the HBV because their early maturation and activation of B cell. Now, this same group have taken the HCV infected newborns also. So what they are saying, but in HCV infected, they are showing that alterations still have seen in myeloid, natural killer cells, and inflammatory serum cytokine. I have missed many points from these paper. I have just taken whatever I understood. So you may go to all these papers and go. Now, how trained immunity is influenced? Again, impact of microbiota. Now, these are the burning topics. Sequence-wise, I have touched it very little. Innate memory in early life and vaccine efficacy. Not these two, even the T cell responses, memory T cell population and gamma delta T cells are influenced. Now, this I have taken only this way because we say that HPV infection does not transmit from mother to baby through the breast milk. However, the breast milk has their own microbiota. So this breastfeeding of newborns by mother carrying hepatitis B virus, this is a meta-analysis which only shows that HPV does not transmit through the mother blood with complete immunoprophylaxis. But you have already seen that with even complete immunoprophylaxis, babies are getting the S antigen. So what this paper is showing, from the Africa, they have taken breast milk and gut microbiota in African mothers and infants from an area of HIV prevalence. In HIV, they showed that the breast milk fed HIV positive mothers to the newborns are showing the microbial diversity. How? Their lactobacillus was different. Their many microbiota was different. I am not expert in this, just I have taken these slides. So microbiological composition of breast milk in women and their infant guts, they cause increased bacterial diversity in the positive mothers fed the negative babies. Still there is a bacterial diversity and they have shown the immunopathological phenomenon. I have taken another. Maternal HIV infection on the infant microbiome, and they are exposed, unexposed childs, and they are exposed. They have taken mouth, skin, and the stool, and they have showed the microbiome dysbiosis in HIV exposed, uninfected infants. So I came to very beautiful paper where they show that human breast milk have the oligosaccharides. Those oligosaccharides change during any infection, even viral means flu infection, fever, with the fever that time. That's the reason probably people say that don't feed when you have the fever. So this, because of this milk oligosaccharide composition, they have shown the same composition in infant stool microbiome. There is a persistence of viral infection during, and we are covering here maternal fecal microbiota transplantation. Have you heard any time that FMT in the babies? What they did, this is again very good, I don't know from which country, but I will remember. What they did, they shown that mothers going through the vaginal delivery, newborns going, they have the normal microbiota. But C-section deliveries, they had the not good microbiota and related to the many immune diseases. What they did? They have given FMT at birth. It was 53 mothers, where they have seen the in the mothers that the immune problems. At birth, they have given the microbiota from the mother only, but the 3 weeks before the delivery. They have collected and they have checked with all the pathogens and given to the microbiota. There was no effect on the babies, side effects of the microbiota. In fact, these babies have covered the even more. Sorry. Okay. So we are working on molecular dissection of trained immunity in HBV infected infants. This is a human immunology project consortium, India, USA, DBT funded. It's a very good consortium where they only work for vaccine and immune failures. We have taken, this slide is very messy. We have taken 2 groups. One group is again the S antigen positive and negative babies who are having the vaccination, 016, or that time it was wrong, and the adult group who are anti-HBC positive but don't have the anti-HBs titer. Our main purpose is to check that immune responses after vaccination in this group and this group by using the microbiome, microbiota, and even the systematic B-cell differentiation, and our aim is to determine the impact of trained immunity on B and CD4 T-cell phenotypes and the function. My last slide, this whole thing is started by Sir, Professor Shiv Sareen, with Dr. Sharda Patra. Our students who worked, Shikha Srivastava, Chandana Pandey, and Ashish, whose students are working, Pooja, Ritesh Kumar worked, and Pratibha and Fatima Ali is still working. We cannot, in fact, I say, run this big project without help of Ms. Mohini, Shashika, Preeti, and Abhishek. Thank you so much. If you have any question, please tell me.